I am your host, James Yoder. You are watching the Michigan Football Report here, and we are going to dive into a bunch of news and rumors around this program. Michigan is taking on Illinois coming up on Saturday. It is noon at the Big House, senior day for Michigan seniors. And one of them, which was maybe surprising to some, not surprising to others. We got one fifth-year player who's opting not to take his sixth year at Michigan. We'll talk about that here in a second. But to start the show, I don't know what you guys are thinking about this game. Go ahead and predict the score. Michigan versus Illinois. Want to keep your hear what you guys are thinking. Had that guy in there, Charles. He's saying, oh man, he says Blake. He says, loves Michigan, Ryan DeSanctimonious, and he says, Blake Corum better than Travion Henderson. Thank you so much, Charles Anthony, for joining the show. Ohio State fan said he's ready to convert to Michigan because Ohio State is too soft. But let me know. Go down and predict the score in the comments in the Michigan Football Report YouTube live chat. What did I say, Jack? Did I give you my score prediction? Do you remember? Because I already forgot. I'm going to just create another one. I'm going to say 34-13. Michigan wins this one. Go ahead and predict your scores down in the comment. I got a 38-10 from TU, Keyshawn, and a bunch of others. Let's keep it rolling here in the Michigan Football Report. Predict the score, Michigan versus Illinois. Ronnie Bell will be playing his last game at Michigan Stadium coming up on Saturday. The fifth-year senior, who was supposed to be a senior last year in 2021, got injured, tore his ACL in the opening game. Jim Harbaugh said late yesterday, but we didn't get to it in yesterday's show, that he will forego his 2023 eligibility, has the COVID year of eligibility left. So any fifth-year player who has redshirted or missed a year like Ronnie Bell did in 2021, where they played less than 4 games or less, they could come back for a 6th year under the COVID rules of the 2020 season, have an extra year of eligibility. Ronnie Bell, though, will not exercise that. He will head to the NFL draft, 2023 NFL draft, and this will be his last game in Michigan Stadium, his last game beating Ohio State, his last Big Ten championship coming up in about 2.5 weeks, and then his second of 2 college football playoffs. He will not be part of the team next season. But what a career for this guy. A hell of a career for Ronnie Bell. 2022 stats so far, 45 catches, 597 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think as you look down this list, that's always been the struggle for him. Getting in the end zone, right? I do think he did have a touchdown in that first game. Maybe I'm crazy in 2021. Jack, if you get a chance, look that up for me. Did Ronnie Bell have a touchdown in 2021 in that first game? I know he had a catch or two. I did think it was like a 76-yard touchdown, if I recall correctly. So he had one more touchdown there. So that brings his career total of touchdowns to 7 from the 6 you see on screen. We didn't put up the 2021 stats. 26 catches in 20 in the shortened year with bad quarterback play. 48 in 2019. Remember, this is a team, Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's a starter in the NFL. Nico Collins scored a touchdown in the NFL against the Giants, right? He plays for the Texans this past Sunday. Ronnie Bell was the leading receiver on that team, 48 catches, 758 yards, only 1 touchdown. It's always been a struggle. And even as a true freshman in 2018, what do you have there? 8 catches, is that what it says, Jack? 145 and 2 touchdowns. Hell of a career for Ronnie Bell. We wish him the best in the NFL, and let's make these last 5 games count. Illinois, Ohio State, the Big Ten Championship, the semifinal, and then the national championship game coming up that Jack and I will be at in L.A. All right, Harbaugh's guy, and if you guys are watching this later, I'm going to take this down for a second, but on the live stream, we were punching him in the face for every super chat of $20 or more, so I'm not going to make you guys see this. An Ohio State fan sent this to me. Okay. Harbaugh's guy departs. Biff Poggi, who's been Harbaugh's chief of staff in 2 different stints. He was back there in 2016. Was one of the great college football coaches in the entire country, or high school football coaches in the entire country. He's had two different college high school football programs in the Baltimore area that he has kind of built into powerhouses, left, came back, etc. And guys like Yabioki, right? They played at the high school that he was the coach at. Blake Corum was his player in high school. He's not been there for a couple seasons, but they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the 2024 class should Jaden Davis not commit to Michigan in the next 10 days or so as expected. So Biff Poggi, congrats to him. He is the new head coach at UNC Charlotte. I think from a recruiting standpoint and a management standpoint, Jim Harbaugh reminds me a lot of a guy like not Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg. They don't have the interpersonal skills to necessarily like kind of motivate people, do all that stuff. But if they've got a guy that can kind of like take the message and like communicate it well, that's Biff for Jim Harbaugh, his right-hand man, his chief of staff. And he's wanting to get back and have an opportunity to be a head coach. So we wish him well. If it doesn't work out in Charlotte though, Biff, you go, they've had some tough run with their head coaches. Come back to Michigan in a few years if you get fired or anything like that. But we hope it doesn't happen. If it does, hopefully you have a spot here at Michigan football going forward. All right, my game day shirt, the Michigan Football Jordan brand shirt, it's $10 off, folks, right now. $10 off, chatsports.com/Michigan T. Jack, we able to toss those bad boys, those links in the live chat. Jack's going to toss those a few times in the live chat or down in the comments and descriptions of today's video. We will put them there. Chatsports.com/Michigan TV. It's $10 off, only $40. The Michigan Football Jordan brand official 2022 t-shirt, chatsports.com/Michigan TV. Or this bad boy is finally back in stock. Now, it's not cheap. It's $75, but I just ordered this. This thing's amazing. It's the Michigan football mascot, the Wolverine Nike hoodie, $75, but chatsports.com/Mich mascot. You can get that bad boy. It's back in stock. It's been out of stock for 2 or 3 weeks. And then we have one more shirt I just came across. Great stocking stuffer. It's got the Michigan Maize logo with the state of Michigan and the UP, the Upper Peninsula outline. It's a really cool shirt. It's only $21.99. Chatsports.com/Mich outline. That is down in the comments, description of today's video, and in the live chat. If you guys are looking for gifts this holiday season or want to send a link to somebody to buy for you, send these links. Support the show, support our sponsors, chatsports.com/Mich outline, Michigan Tea, and Mich hoodie, right? Yeah, Mich hoodie. Mich mascot. Yeah, that's right. Mich mascot. So those are in the live chat and in the comments. Michigan's taking on Illinois. Right. I'm not thinking about it too much. I feel like they've lost a luster, right? Michigan, Illinois. That game is coming up on Saturday, senior day for Michigan. The Wolverines are 18-point favorites. The over-under is 42 points. So the defenses here are great, right? These are two of the top 5 defenses scoring yards in all of college football. Their starting running back is maybe as an injury. We haven't really been able to speculate more on it since Brett Bielema's press conference yesterday. But Michigan is definitely favored here. And I've been gambling for 20-plus years now. I've been gambling way back since I had no money to gamble. When you see a spread like this, over under 42, Michigan favored by 18, at these they think that's kind of right around where Jack and I were saying. They think the score is going to be somewhere around 31-10 or 34-13 or 28-14, something like that. It's going to be in that range of like 14 to 20, 21 points that they think Michigan's going to win. They don't think Illinois can score that much, and they don't think Michigan is able to run the score up on Illinois. So it's going to be a tighter game than I think a lot of people expect, given that this program has lost their last 2 straight, has Illinois to Purdue and to Michigan State. Could have been a really great matchup. Could have been a top 10 matchup had they held serve, but it turns out that they weren't as good as we thought they were just a couple weeks ago. Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh is 35-1 as head coach of the Wolverines when they rush over 100 yards. And with the top rushing, they're not the top statistically rushing program, but they are the best running team in America, in my opinion, for efficiency and the ability to just run on whoever they want, whenever they want. We saw it last year versus Ohio State. We saw it last year versus Penn State. We saw it this year versus Penn State, Michigan State, etc. So think forward to Ohio State game, right? Went for 100 yards, got a good chance of winning. What did we see last year? Michigan went into halftime up 14-13. I felt really good about where they were. I felt they dominated that first half, but still only up by 1 point. So you were a little nervous, although my halftime video, I went back and watched it this week. I was very confident at halftime. I go back to my Twitter account on November 27th. And Michigan came out, scored 4 touchdowns in the second half, and I think absolutely obliterated Ohio State. They only scored 2 touchdowns in that second half game last year, and it was all due to the offensive line, which I think is getting better this year. The running game, which I think is better this year, although without Hassan Haskins, you don't have the 1-2 punch like you did last year. But what they're doing with J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, everything they've got going on, I think they've poised for a 100-yard running game. This is a great stat. Some new college football playoff odds are out as we await the rankings, top 25. If you're watching this Wednesday morning, you will know the top 25 rankings. But look at these stats here. This means that Georgia is 200 times likely to make the college football playoff than not. I'm not even joking there. You got to put up $20,000 to win 100. That's not a joke, which basically means with one game this week against one AA. Jack, look up the schedule for me, Georgia. They got Georgia Tech next week, then the SEC title game. Basically what they're saying is there's zero chance that they lose one of the next 2 games. And even if they lose, they play Kentucky and then who else? They got Georgia, so Kentucky, then Georgia Tech. They're basically saying there's no chance they lose 2 of their last 3, and even if they do, Kentucky, Georgia Tech, and then they'll face LSU in the Big Ten title game. According to the college football playoff, which I guess is fair because they've been number 1 or 2 all year, as long as they don't lose 2 of those 3, which is very unlikely, they will make the college football playoffs. It's almost like I've never seen odds like that in my life. Now, Ohio State, minus 700. what this communicates is even if they lose to Michigan, they won't potentially drop past number 4. It'll be right there battling with Tennessee, who actually has better odds. I'm sorry, less odds. I apologize. Minus 500. Michigan basically even money, minus 110. You got to put up $110. So in theory, what this spells out is Michigan or Ohio State with a loss to the other one will have better odds than a USC team, even that wins the Pac-12 and doesn't lose another game. A one-loss conference champion USC, a one-loss conference champion Clemson. So pretty good to see, because in that theory, that scenario, Michigan could only lose, and then all they have to do is hope TCU loses one of their last 3 games. They're playing Baylor, and then they've got Kansas State in the Big Ten 12 title game, most likely. And I don't know who their game is prior to that. Maybe Jack can tell us at one point what TCU has. They've got Baylor coming up, and then one more game after that. So will Michigan make the college football playoff? Give me a yes in the comments or no. We're filming this on our live show, so I'll give a few. Baylor and then Iowa State. Yeah, I did look at that earlier. So will Michigan make the college football playoff? Michael Jackson, he's back. He's saying no. Out the mud saying, you drunk. I'm not sure we're talking about that. I'm not drunk yet. I've only had one drink. Keyshawn to you. Keyshawn says yes. Charles Anthony says yes. Michigan will crush Ohio State. Thank you so much. Bob Jones says yes. ABC Del Football says yes. So a lot of yeses. Michigan fans certainly feeling the love for this team. I'm saying yes. I even think if they were to lose to Ohio State, which won't happen, but if they did for some reason, I do think they will make the college football playoff. I think TCU will lose a game, and it'll be Georgia, the Michigan Ohio State winner, Tennessee, the Michigan Ohio State loser, a Big Ten SEC combo pack 2-2. Let me know what you guys are thinking, though, down in the comments. How about Jesse Minter, Michigan's first-year defensive coordinator? Who would have thought? First-year defensive coordinator last year, Mike McDonald, puts together Michigan's best defense in years, incompetent defense, right? We were confused by those Don Brown defenses. Jesse Minter has put together a great defense this year. Mike McDonald last year, back-to-back, one of the best defense in the country. I think Michigan does have it this year. Last year, top 5. He is now a finalist for the Broyles Award, which Josh Gass won last year, top assistant in all of college football. Semifinals will be announced 1 week from today. So next week's Tuesday night show, we will have our semifinals award. I'm guessing he will be there, given he's got the number 1 defense in college football. And then a week after that, the Tuesday after the Michigan-Ohio State game, leading in to the Big Ten championship game, you will have your 3 finalists for that award. I think he's going to win it. I think Michigan can win back-to-back Broyles Award. I don't think it's ever happened in the history of college football in the 25, 30 years this award's been given out, so that'd be pretty cool. But he is a nominee and likely will be a semifinalist, and then I think a finalist there on November 29th. Which Michigan football team did have a better defense? Thinking back to Mike McDonald's 2021 defense with Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo, and the linebacker whose name I'm forgetting at the moment is in the NFL. And for the Ravens, actually, David Ajabo, Daxton Hill, Chris Hinton, Vincent Gray. I mean, you've got a lot of players that are off this team that were high contributing players last year in defense. 3 starters on the defensive line, a starting linebacker, 3 guys from the secondary. Brad Hawkins, I haven't even mentioned yet. The fact that you were able to replace 7 starters off last year's defense and still be this effective, I'm going to go with 2022 because the stats are putting up. But I will hold back my final verdict until Michigan plays Ohio State. You get that win, it's a no-brainer for Michigan. One more request quickly. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. 23,010 of you have. If you haven't yet, it's youtube.com/MichiganTV. We are the most watched Michigan football program in all of the universe. And make sure you guys join it. youtube.com/MichiganTV. Be part of the biggest community in all of college football here on YouTube. Michigan Ohio State coming up. And if you're watching on Wednesday, sorry to be the bearer of bad news. This is filmed on our live show. Michigan State, Kentucky going to double overtime. Michigan State, another dunk with 5 seconds left to send in double overtime. So those live watchers, you got to stick with us a little bit longer. We'll keep it rolling here. Next Saturday, Michigan, Ohio State. The lines are out now. I think this will drop. I think the final line will be Michigan will be a 5-point, 6-point underdog. But right now, a couple of the sports books put out initial lines. 7 points is the line that Ohio State is favored over Michigan. Over-under is 60.5. I think that's low. I do think it's low. I think these teams will score more than that. But these are 2 of the better defenses in all of college football. And hell, these are two of the better offenses in college football. Let's kind of take a look at where we're at, the tail of the tape between these 2 programs after 10 games. Michigan, the only real outlier here is not being a dominant, super dominant, part of the ball, side of the ball, statistically. They are number 24 in total offense in college football at 468 a game. Ohio State, about 40 yards, almost exactly, 41 yards, 41.6 yards ahead of them. Number 6 in college football total offense. Michigan is the number 1 defense in college football, 232 yards a game by like a 15, 16-yard margin over number 2. Ohio State, though, they've had a nice turnaround under Jim Knowles. Number 7 defense in all of college football from a yards perspective. Michigan, number 5 scoring offense. So they're outpacing their yardage with a scoring offense at 41.4, 7 points higher than where they were at this point last year. Number 1 defense in college football for Michigan at 11.2 points per game against scoring. Ohio State's defense, offense, number 2 scoring offense, and then they are the number 7 scoring defense. So nice turnaround for Ohio State this year. Let's take a look at the wide receiver group. I think this is going to be the difference in the game in all of college football, folks. The game of the year, the game of the century, the best game, at least in 16 years, in my opinion, in college football. And people say, oh, Alabama, LSU, this, that. It doesn't matter. This is the game that I think people have to really get excited about. Number 2 and number 3, most likely next week. Marvin Harrison Jr., he has gotten 45% of their catches over the last 3 games. I think it was 45% is the stat I saw. He's picked up the slack for Jackson Smith and Jigba, their superstar wide receiver who's been out. Some rumblings he could return for the Michigan game coming up here in 11 days, 10 days if you're watching this on Wednesday. And Emeka Egbuka, top 10 player overall in the 2021 recruiting class. Those guys are both sophomores. And then junior, also 5-star. Those are 3 5-stars there. Julian Fleming, he's a third-year player. Those guys have really slacked as of late. Marvin Harrison's getting way too many of the looks. I think he's kind of getting worn out. Michigan definitely needs to spy him, maybe double him, but don't let those other guys kind of have breakout games against you. Tight end Cade Stover, 29 catches, third in the team, but lagging in yards there, 366, and he has 5 touchdowns on the year. If you think Michigan is going to beat Ohio State again, like I do, as always, you've got less than 2 weeks. You've got 10 and a half, 11 days here till Michigan, Ohio State. Make this a part of your routine, your life. Everywhere you go, just say, beat Ohio State. You see somebody out there, hey, just say, hey, good to see you. Beat Ohio State. Type it in the comments here on YouTube. BOSA, it's a movement. It's a thing that we do. I'm just going to, if you guys don't know, okay. And that's the way we do. I've been all about this since Michigan lost in 2019. Back-to-back, 62 points gave up in 2018, 56 gave up in 2019. I couldn't take it anymore, so beat Ohio State again has become the mantra. My word on this game, Yoder's take, as we like to call it here on the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports, is Michigan needs to hit C.J. Stroud early. So hard that his grandma feels it. Hit him in the face. Take a penalty if you have to. He is a mentally soft player. I don't want to knock the kid. I mean, he's playing great football a lot of times, but I think we saw last year in the Michigan-Ohio State game, he had a lot of passing yards, but they were weak yards. They didn't matter when it counted. He needs some, crazy plays, crazy catches from his first-round wide receivers. Hit him so hard like David Ojabo did last year, like Aiden Hutchinson did last year, that every time he catches that ball out of the shotgun snap, he takes one step and he is just tensing up, waiting to get blindsided, waiting for somebody to hit him right in the face, and he's going to start short-arming passes. That's what Michigan needs to do. I think that's the key to the game. That's all that matters outside of Michigan getting that 100 yards that we talked about a few minutes ago. You hit C.J. Stroud hard early. Knock him on his ass. He is not mentally sound enough, not like he's crazy or anything like that, but tough enough. Mentally tough enough is probably the better word to use, to withstand a Michigan pass rush if he's kind of seeing ghosts out there. So hit him often, but hit him very early and hit him hard, so hard his grandma feels it. I think Michigan will get the win over Ohio State.